Welcome, everybody, to the International College of Integrative Medicine podcast, translating science to clinical practice since 1983. I am your host, Luke W. Russell, and today I'm joined by Dr. Sajad Zalzala. Dr. Zalzala, thank you for taking time to sit down and talk with me.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
So tell me about your practice.
Yeah, so I practice, so currently I'm kind of in a transition period. I have a practice in Windsor, Ontario. So I live in the Detroit area. That's where I grew up. I commute to Windsor, Ontario for my practice. I do some functional medicine, integrative medicine there. But as I'm trying to kind of expand my scope and expand the things that I can do. My ultimate plan is to, open like a wellness center, similar to what a lot of the physicians here at ICIM have, but a lot of them, they started out kind of where I am now, and then they sort of, transitioned. So I'm kind of in that transition period right now.
Now, if a moment ago you said you had told me previous to our interview that you started at ICIM as a student. And so how did, a lot of the physicians I've talked to, were going through their conventional career, something happened, they pivoted to integrative. So can you talk to me a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, so I wasn't always interested in integrative medicine. I actually started out of high school. Computer science was my major. My mom wanted me to be a doctor, but I didn't really like taking care of patients. I was more comfortable with technology.
Yeah.
So I started out, computer science major. I worked as an IT guy, like a network engineer guy for a few years. But I found that I wasn't so great at some of the technical aspects of the computer, like programming. I could never get programming. And so I felt that not only limited my career with computers, but also I gravitated more towards the customer service aspect rather than the computers themselves. And so it just kind of came to me one day that I'm kind of wasting my time with computers, and I should be treating people directly instead of their computers. Mm-hmm. Because that's what was happening. Yeah. I was taking like a history and physical of the problem and then fixing their computer, but not the person.
Yeah. Okay. So, what type of therapies and modalities have you been a bigger focus the last year or two?
Sure. Well, let me. Sorry, I didn't get to finish that story
sorry.
there. No, it's okay. So after my first year of medical school, I struggled a little bit, kind of putting it together. It's kind of hard to see how what they were teaching us in medical school could actually help people, because a lot of it has to do with, medications, surgery, symptomatic treatment. And if it wasn't, like pathologic, then and it wasn't amenable to medication, then we couldn't treat it.
Yeah.
And so I actually almost dropped out of medical school after my first year and went back to computers, but just as luck or fortune would have it, I listened to an interview on the radio with somebody who would talk about using integrative medicine to kind of keep yourself healthier as you age. The idea being that one of these days we might be able to upload our brains to a computer and live forever. But until that time comes, we need to keep ourselves as healthy as possible. And he was like listing all the things that he was doing based on all the science that he was able to gather, and that really resonated. Like, why aren't we learning this stuff in medical school? So that led me to one of the other integrative medicine organizations, which led me to a local member of the ICIM, and then her name is Dr. Diane Kulik. She invited me to my first ICIM meeting in the Detroit area.
Wow.
So from then on, it kind of became, every time I learned something medical school or residency, I'm like, okay, how can I apply this to help patients? I kind of try to put on my holistic medical integrative medicine glasses when I learn things. I'm like, okay, where does where does integrative medicine or functional medicine kind of fit into what we're learning here today? And that really not only helped me improve my grades in medical school, but also help keep my interest going.
Wow. Now, did you feel when you were in med school, I'm just curious, did you express your interest in exploring the holistic approach within the school environment, and if so, how was that received?
I kind of kept it myself for the most
Yeah.
part. Just in the back of my head, I'm like, when they talk about different diseases,
Yeah.
I'm like, haha, I know a different way,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So there were times where I asked for permission to do rotations with other doctors who were doing integrative medicine.
Yeah.
For my cardiology rotation, I had to kind of beg and plead a little bit, but they allowed me to do my rotation in Toledo with Dr. James Roberts, probably one of the most well-known cardiologists, integrative cardiologists in the country. So it's usually things like that. And of course, I always came to ISOM meetings as much as I could. Other meetings as well. I kind of diversify, but now I just mostly come to ISOM.
Yeah, right on. So, what are you focusing on today in your practice?
I'm getting to the field of what's called telemedicine. It's kind of like treating patients using electronic means, video, phone, email, text message, things like that. I found that there's a lot of patients who live far away from any functional medicine doctor, but they need help. So I can't really say that I specialize in any one particular thing when it comes to like health. Like I'm not, I don't sell myself as a cancer specialist or as a, as an autoimmune specialist or something like that. But I'm kind of the jack of all trades. And the gamut ranges from autoimmune conditions and fibromyalgia, migraines, or just kind of a general unwell feeling. And I do consultations online through the internet, like I said, try to reach patients. The last year or so, I've been doing a lot more consultations for low-dose naltrexone. It's a very commonly used integrative tool. It's a medication we've kind of repurposed for functional medicine or integrative medicine type. And it's kind of a lot of people, they read about LDN online to help them with all sorts of conditions, autoimmune conditions, fibromyalgia, MS, things like that. And then, when I talk to them, to evaluate them for a prescription, I'm like, hey, you should see a functional medicine provider or an integrated medicine provider. So you can look at your leaky gut, so you can look at your diet, you can look at, methylation pathway defects and things like that. And for patients who want to work with me and my staff, I have an online clinic that I launched about six to 9 months ago. It's called Root Causes Clinic, and just like the name implies, we try to find the root causes of why somebody has symptoms.
Could you share a story of a particularly difficult case that you've worked on in the last year?
Several. I mean, a lot of patients, who seek, alternative practitioners, functional medicine, they tend to be usually fairly, not always, but usually tend to be, fairly ill, kind of run out of options when it comes to the conventional medicine. I guess if I had to pick a specialty in terms of what I'm kind of best at, quote unquote, best at, I've got a lot of, I've become very, not skilled, but I guess I've gotten a lot more experience with chronic migraines, and chronic migraine patients can be very difficult to treat because there are a lot of things that have gone wrong to cause somebody to have chronic migraines, and a lot of patients with chronic migraines tend to be sensitive to pretty much anything. You try my new supplement, there's some kind of reaction. You try them on LDN, for example, they have a hard time tolerating it. Changes in diet, change in barometric pressure. But the good news is if we're able to find what their problem is and get to the bottom of it and put them on a program that includes dietary changes, supplements, hormone balancing, things like that, then vast majority of them end up getting better.
I'll be back in a little bit with more from Dr. Zalzala. First, a few thoughts from our executive director, Wendy Chappell.
Hello, this is Wendy. If you are an ICIM member, I want to be sure you are getting the most from your membership. We have a great page on our website, www.icimed.com, where we highlight members' blogs. This is a really good way to check on the many projects and practice focal points of your colleagues. And we want to make sure that your blog is up there too. On our website, we have great opportunities for you to get some marketing advice from Luke and ISOM's own in-house team of social media and multimedia experts. We offer legal advice from our general counsel, John Richardson, and tons of emotional support when you need it. Both marketing and legal help are listed on our website under the button Member Resources. New membership benefit that you can find there is that in that same section of our website, you can now listen to past lectures for free. More good things come from membership, such as honest conversations by email where colleagues share questions about challenging case studies.
Now let's get back to my interview with Dr. Zalzala.
You're early in your career, and as you look ahead, what are you excited about?
Well, I'm excited about all the things I've seen in the last 10 years. The understanding of the human genome, the understanding of all the pathways. We still have a lot to learn, and every time I come to a meeting, I learn something new that I had no idea existed. Like at this meeting, for example, today we're sitting at the meeting, focused on cancer therapy, and one of the speakers talked about how really high dose melatonin can help with not only cancer but also other conditions. And now that kind of gets me thinking I need to go out, read all that kind of about melatonin, and maybe even implement that into my practice. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what excites me, is that just everybody is thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
And the doctors who come to this meeting and present in this meeting they're never stagnant. They're never static. They don't wait for the FDA guidelines or any of the major medical association guidelines to change, because those take years and years for them to change their guidelines. They're out there, they're looking at it, and they go out there and they do, and they come and they share.
Yeah.
So that's what really excites me.
Now, you've been around ICIM for a while. How do you feel like now, as a practicing physician, how do you feel like ICIM plays and affects your practice?
Well, like I said, when I come to the meetings, I learn. There's a lot of little nuggets that I can take home and kind of practice. Start using almost right away. So that's the major way ICIM has, and just knowing that there's a group of doctors who are doing what I'm doing and more, and then some, kind of just kind of validates, because it can be lonely being integrated medicine doctor. We're outnumbered, 1,000,000 to 1, or it seems, and it can be very difficult.
Yeah.
But having having that community, coming to these meetings, or being able to shoot an email out to the list of doctors with a question and being able to get a detailed answer from more than one, that really helps. Not only keeps me as a physician engaged, but it keeps me hopeful that if I don't have the answers for a patient, there's somebody out there who does. It's just a matter of finding the right person and asking the right question.
Yeah. So, Dr. Zalzala, do you have any other thoughts you'd like to share with the physicians? As you maybe it's a perspective you have as a younger physician, or just any other thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, so in an ideal world, I would have liked to start out right in like an integrative medicine clinic. But coming right out of residency, that's very difficult for a variety of different reasons. First of all, you have to know the conventional medicine really well to keep yourself out of trouble when you're doing the functional medicine. So I think a lot of doctors have to put in their time, so to speak, doing conventional medicine for a while. before they can kind of jump right into integrative functional medicine. With that said, I mean, you could still do little things. Even if you're in like a conventional medicine practice, I mean, it's becoming more and more acceptable to recommend things like, let's say, melatonin for sleep, or theanine as an alternative to benzodiazepines, or even things like acupuncture, which were once kind of poo-pooed, are now like, well, okay, maybe it does work.
Yeah.
And so there, even if somebody is not quite ready to move into an integrative medicine or functional medicine environment, there are a lot of things that they can still do to help their patients. And every little bit counts.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Zalzala, for sitting down and sharing your thoughts and your journey with me.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.